Chris Mikowski of Emerging Civil War. I'm behind the camera out on the battlefield at Fort Blakeley, and joining me is Mike Bunn, Director of Historic Blakeley State Park. And Mike, tell us a little bit about the spot where we're standing.
Well, you're standing in the center of the battlefield at Fort Blakeley. So this is in front of Redoubt 4, and this is one of the few spaces in the entire park, this entire 3-mile long line, Confederate line, where you can see the distance between the Confederates and the assaulting Union forces that were coming from their third parallel, the third line of entrenchments they had dug as they got closer and closer to Blakeley during the siege. And this is where we often tell people the story of the battle, because it's the one spot that visually makes the most sense. They can comprehend what's happening because you can see all these things. You can see not only the Federal line and the advanced rifle pits, but you see the advanced Confederate pits. You can see the ravine, and we talk about the topography and how it's uneven across the 3-mile long line. You can see the reconstructed abattis, this reconstructed line of sharpened stakes, the placement of the tree stumps where the Confederates had put telegraph wire around, and of course Redoubt 4 out in the distance. So it's all comes together in this one spot. And when we talk about the charge, we talk about what the Federals confronted, we talked about what the Confederates had placed to defend their line, this is that essential point in the entire park where it all makes sense and people can comprehend it. And it's where we do our reenactments and other living history demonstrations.
But even though this is the most visible spot, you have a lot to offer here at this park.
Yeah, this is a very diverse park. We're proud of the fact that we're Alabama's largest Civil War battlefield. And of course, we've got 2,000 acres. And if you're in the park, you're on a battlefield, and there's lots to explore. And we've opened up almost the entirety of the third parallel and the Confederate line, and several portions of the other second and first parallels along the Union assault route. So anywhere in the park you can go and you can explore this stuff. But we have a lot more to offer than purely Civil War history, although that's a major draw for us. This is the namesake, the park's namesake is the early Alabama town of Blakeley. So we've got an early Alabama history here. The town was here, it was the county seat. We've got woodland period, shell middens, and Mississippian period occupation. We've got colonial period occupation, an Appalachian village that was here in the 1700s. So all this layers of history. We've got nearly 30 miles of trails for hiking, horseback riding, and biking. We've got a pontoon boat that goes out 12 months out of the year into the Mobile, Tennessee Delta with over 25 different cruises that we run themed around nature, cultural heritage, Civil War, etc., from 3 different places, 3 different docks within the Delta. So it's a very diverse park, and I should mention that you can camp here, RV, tent, horse trailer. We've got cabins, hold several weddings here at our event center. So there's a lot to offer, and it all comes together as a unique natural and cultural heritage site for people in the region and beyond.
Now, if people want to know more about Fort Blakeley, I've got to recommend a fantastic little book that you've written. Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, I did write a book about Fort Blakeley called The Assault on Fort Blakeley that uses original accounts as much as I could, some of the most compelling accounts that we have, and I constructed my narrative around those, sort of as a guided tour of the site. Giving tours of the battle over the years, I had these great quotes, all this great information that I would share, and I put it all together so that the book is a narrative about the battle, but it's also a battlefield guide. So if you literally were on the ground here, you could use this book if you were so inclined to see all the different sites that we have to offer and understand what units were where and what was happening in the words and the viewpoint of the foot soldiers who actually fought there all throughout the battlefield. So it's a great resource just to understand what happened here if you want to read that at home. But if you're actually in the park, use it as a guide and understand what happened readout by readout.
Mike Bunn, thanks so much for taking a minute to share this gem of a spot with us.
Thank you for being here.